he's accomplished nothing. He's not even a champion. And he's not even in my weight class already. And, you know, it's a lot of things there doesn't make sense. And plus, at this point in my career, I can do whatever I want.
He didn't hold back. Canelo thinks Crawford is a weak opponent. Crawford has said that he hasn't done anything, doesn't have any belts, and doesn't fit in his weight class. That wasn't all Canelo said. He made it clear that his confidence isn't just words, it's backed up by how he feels in the ring. "I feel strong and calm right now," he said. "It's boxing, but no one can beat me right now." He meant no offense to other boxers. There are some great ones out there. It was more than just words. It made him very aware of where he stands. The level at which Canelo works is something that he doesn't think anyone else can match. He is sharp, seasoned, and still dangerous. Son Chase Headley is focused on leaving a legacy, and not everyone thinks Canelo is the best, even though many people admire what he has done. Some boxing analysts have different ideas. One of them is former world champion and pundit Paulie Malignaggi, who shared his thoughts on the Canelo versus Crawford debate. He did not only question the assumption, he turned it on its head.
I was originally thinking Crawford might be too small. I think Crawford is a way more complete fighter than Canelo ever was. I think Crawford is just, the only risk here is Crawford's small. You think about it though, Duran was a former lightweight and he was able to beat Arum Barkley eventually, right? So it's not out of the question. And this Canelo is not the prime Canelo.
Paulie talks about why he thinks Crawford is a better boxer all around. He accepts the enormous gap, but draws on history. Smaller fighters have previously surprised the world. To him, it's more than simply weight, it's also about skill, and Crawford wins that area. It is a bold opinion, but one that sparked meaningful discourse across the boxing world. Despite the harsh remarks, Canelo did show respect. He may not regard the fight as important, but that doesn't mean he ignores Crawford's abilities. In a different interview, he recognized Crawford's abilities and accomplishments. It was a rare moment of praise in the middle of a heated discussion.
The last one is Terence Crawford.
Good fighter.
Okay. All right.
Canelo referred to Crawford as a talented fighter, acknowledging his contributions to the sport, but he kept his hard stance. Crawford still doesn't pose enough of a threat in his view, so it was more of a hint than a chance for Canelo. Giving props does not change the facts as he sees them. He knows the business and is picky about who actually deserves a spot in his sights. But Paulie Malignaggi didn't only praise Crawford. He also had harsh words for Canelo. In another portion, he went into greater depth about Canelo's declining fighting spirit. For Paulie, it's not only about technique or record. It's about mindset in the toughest circumstances, which he thinks Canelo lacks.
Canelo is also like Canelo who's trying to steal bags while half-assing it. When Canelo has been put in tough situations, in the moments where he's had to really dig down, what has he done? He hasn't really dug down and gone for broke in fights where he's been losing. He just kind of accepted the loss.
Like Bivol?
We saw that with Floyd too. Well, early on with Floyd too. People will say that he was young, but he never really took a risk in the Floyd fight once he was outclassed. He just accepted it, like, all right, this guy's outclassing me.
He cited important contests in which Canelo did not react like a true fighter, especially when things were not going his way. Paulie thinks that the present Canelo is not the same eager fighter as years before. Rather, he sees someone who is more concerned with big paydays than legacy-defining performances. He even mentioned earlier fights, such as the one with Floyd Mayweather, as examples of Canelo collapsing under pressure. It's a harsh assessment, but one that is creating real debate over Canelo's current position. And just when things couldn't get any more heated, Paulie doubled down on his stance. He showed a stark contrast between the mental fortitudes of both warriors, suggesting something deeper than skill or size for him. It's all about attitude, hunger, and how a fighter responds when pressure builds.
Yeah, remember what I said about Crawford earlier in this interview. He is a guy who reminds me of Floyd, and he stays hungry, motivated, and wants to still be the best, and has that mean streak in the ring. Not to say that Canelo doesn't have a mean streak, but I feel like once you start punching Canelo a few times in the face, that mean streak ain't so mean anymore. You know what I mean? He punks out a little bit. So while Crawford, I feel like, wants to go for the gusto. That doesn't mean to me that Crawford wins because he's small, but I'm just saying I believe more now that Crawford can win than I did originally when this was first being talked about.
Paulie sees in Crawford something reminiscent of Floyd Mayweather, an unwavering desire to be sharp, hungry, and dominating. He thinks Crawford is still fighting with a chip on his shoulder, always trying to prove something. On the other hand, he wonders if Canelo keeps his competitive edge when things go tough. Paulie says Canelo isn't biting down like he used to. It's more than just criticism. It's a challenge to the core of who these fighters are. And for Paulie, that shift in belief makes a Crawford win appear more likely than ever. Paulie did more than just show the fighter's skills. He also brought the politics of boxing to the forefront. In a passionate moment, he redirected the topic to what he thinks a larger issue. Accountability for Paulie. This fight is more than simply Crawford versus Canelo. It is about what it means for the sport.
And I would love to see Crawford win because I feel like if Canelo gets this payday, which is going to be a big payday, and then also gets the win out of it, it's just too much of a reward for outright ducking Benavidez and being allowed to duck his mandatory contender while holding all the belts hostages at 168 pounds for so long and not letting that weight class run its course the way it should.
He feels a Canelo win would reward all the wrong things, like avoiding mandates, stagnating a division, and choosing higher low-risk matchups. Paulie expressly stated the delay in facing David Benavidez, the proper challenger at 168 pounds, to him. Canelo's having all of the belts without properly protecting them has harmed the division, which is why he's supporting for Crawford, not only as an underdog, but as someone who has the potential to shake up the system. It's a strong opinion, steeped in unhappiness with how the game is played at the top. While Paulie concentrated on politics and psychology, famous trainer Ronnie Shields returned the topic to pure boxing in a recent interview. Shields praised Crawford not for the hoopla or the headlines, but for what he sees inside the ring as someone who has worked with winners. His words had weight.
It's a little different. Let me tell you something, man. Terence Crawford is one of the smartest fighters I've ever seen. Very smart. Always in shape, you know. And he can figure out anybody. And it don't make no difference if it's two weight classes or not. If you have it here, and you have the skills to match this, that's tough to do. No matter who you are. It's not about power. Just because you're strong don't mean you're going to win. You know? That doesn't work. You got to have the skills in this game. And Terence Crawford has the skills to fight anybody in the world.
Shields called Crawford as one of the smartest boxers he'd ever seen. He stressed Crawford's ability to stay in shape, adapt mid-fight, and figure out any opponent, regardless of weight class. Shields stated clearly that it is not about power or bulk, but rather about technique, intelligence, and discipline. Crawford has the tools to defeat anyone, no matter how big or powerful they are. Crawford thinks that his full package makes him dangerous, even against Canelo. Shields didn't only praise Crawford's abilities. He also described why a fight with Canelo at 168 makes sense. While some are worried about size, weight, or power, Shields feels Crawford brings something to the table that cannot be quantified on a scale. He sees this fight as not only possible, but also important for boxing.
You know, the thing about it is Canelo would have to make 168. Crawford's not going to have no problem at 168. And like I say,
Shields pointed out that Canelo would have to make the weight like everyone else, but Crawford would be at no disadvantage because his skills speak for themselves. He feels Crawford have all of the tools necessary to fight and win, even at super middleweight. For him, it is about legacy. He compared Crawford's circumstances to Roy Jones Jr., who rose up the ranks and made history. Shields made it clear that if fans want the greatest to fight the best, this is the fight to see. Ronnie Shields used a striking historical connection to make his point. Clearly, he brought up the legendary Mayweather-Canelo bout not to revisit old history, but to showcase what he thinks wins fights. It's not about muscle or size. It's about the mind, skills, and intelligence behind the gloves.
some people would Floyd, they were for Canelo. Canelo was a bigger fighter. You know, he was bigger, he was stronger. Floyd was smarter. Floyd outsmarted Canelo. That just teaches you and shows you that you don't have to be a power puncher if you're going up 1 or 2 weight divisions. It doesn't work that way. It's here. It's here. Your knowledge. Knowledge is king. And what it's the same thing with Crawford going up to fight a Canelo Alvarez, two-weight division. Okay, Canelo probably walks around 190, maybe, or a little bit less. But Crawford probably walks around 180. You know? So 168 is not gonna be a problem for him. You know, and people keep saying, oh, but the weight difference. No, it ain't that. Crawford don't have to kill himself to get to 6'8". Canelo does.
Shields told how Mayweather defeated a younger, stronger Canelo not with power, but with intelligence. He sees the same potential in Crawford, thinking he has the boxing intellect to offset size, like Floyd did. Ronnie also dismissed worries about the weight differential, saying Crawford is near to Canelo's stature and will be comfortable at 168 pounds. In fact, he thinks Canelo may need to cut harder than Crawford. To him, this fight isn't about who's bigger. It's about who's better. And given Crawford's skill set, Shields thinks it's a battle worth seeing and one that Crawford can easily win. Former boxer and trainer Troy Nash added to the burgeoning discourse, giving his honest opinion based on experience and personal connection. Nash didn't simply assess from a distance. He spoke from personal experience with Crawford, and what he said provided a whole new depth of belief to Team Bud.
I sound biased just because I know him and I'm cool with him. But Bud actually has a chance of really winning this fight. I think it's a 50-50 fight. You know, Canelo, yeah, he probably, people think he's probably the stronger person going into the fight with him. Been fighting at 168, but he started his career off at, I think, 147 and climbed his way up. So it's not like he was just a person that came in the game that big, you know. Bud is ready though. Like when it comes for fight time, I think Bud's gonna be 100% ready. He trains year round. Like he shows a lot of the young fighters the way, you know. He treats his body good. He doesn't drink, smoke, none of that. So when it's time to fight in a few months and we get to watch them work, I think Bud got a great chance of winning that fight. Nash
said he is close to Crawford, but made it clear that his view is not biased. It is based on what he has observed. He sees the fight as a true 50-50 matchup and reminded people that Canelo did not start out as a large guy. He climbed the weight classes, just like Crawford is trying to do now. What impressed Nash the most was Crawford's lifestyle and discipline. He trains all year, takes care of his body, and stays focused even when no bout is announced. That kind of dedication, according to Nash, is exactly what gives Crawford a real chance when the bell rings. Troy Nash was sure to show respect for the other team after supporting Crawford's chances. In a balanced follow-up, he talked Canelo's legacy and the criticism that frequently surrounds him. For Nash, it's more than just who wins. It's about praising brilliance on both sides.
This is like the Bud and Canelo era. Canelo, he's slept on, man. He doesn't get enough respect and credit for what he's done. Canelo's fought, I mean, arguably the best fighters of this generation around his weight class. You know, of course we want to see him fight Benavidez, but besides that, I mean, who has a Canelo fight? You know, he went up to fight B-Ball. He fought Caleb Plant. He's in fight all the top guys, so he definitely deserves his credit. And even if he loses this fight, he still needs to be deemed as one of the greatest of our generation. If Bud loses, he needs to be deemed as one of the greatest of our generation. The fans just need to give both of them their credit, win or lose, because they're going to give us the fight that we want to see.
Nash pointed out that Canelo does not always receive the credit he gets. He's faced some of the best fighters of his age, from Caleb Plant to Bivol, and hasn't backed down. Sure, fans want to see the Benavidez fight, but Canelo's resume is amazing. Nash thinks that whether they win or lose, Canelo and Crawford should be considered all-time greats. He urged on spectators to give them their due, not just for coming into the ring, but for giving the sport a fight that actually means bringing wisdom from the old-school great cutman Jacob Stitch Duran added his voice to the talk, recalling a previous exchange with the late Roger Mayweather. Stitch gave an experience-based worldview in which ability always outweighed size for him. This fight is about bloodlines, not pounds.
You know, Roger Mayweather, when I worked with him, the late Roger Mayweather, I was talking to him and he said, you know, nowadays, MFers, you know, they have all these different divisions. We used to fight guys of different weights. He goes, it's not the difference in the weights. He goes, it's the caliber of skill level that you have. And I always thought about that, So can he beat Canelo? Of course. Can Canelo beat him? Yes. So it's that type of fight. But I'm glad for Canelo because he's at the tail end of his career. Talking about Benavidez and all that, but that ship is already sailed. He don't need him.
Yeah.
But Terence Crawford or Jake Paul, that's going to happen. Well, that would have been great,
Yeah, that would have been good.
Yeah, but that's, nice way for Canelo to finish his career.
Stitch recalled how warriors in previous ages frequently faced opponents from different weight classes, yet the deciding factor was never size. It was skill. That's why he thinks both Canelo and Crawford are capable of defeating each other. It's that type of fight. He also acknowledged Canelo's present situation, saying that while the Benavidez chapter has ended, this fight may be a fitting way to end his career, no matter how it plays out. Stitch sees it as a high-level chess match that honors both fighters' legacies, while providing fans with something important to talk about after expressing his admiration for both. Stitch Duran, famed for his candor, gave an honest assessment of how the fight might play out. Stitch didn't sugarcoat it or play on hype. He made a calm, deliberate prediction based on experience, and it had nothing to do with knockouts.
I think the chances, I don't bet, but if I was going to bet one way or the other, I'd go the distance fight. I think Terence Crawford's smart enough to move for 12 rounds. You're talking about getting hit solid. He has to get hit solid by Canelo. So, yeah, that'd be my prediction on that.
Definitely was.
So don't go bet money on me now. I'm not good at this stuff.
Stitch mentioned that if he had to make a call, he would expect the battle to last the distance. He feels Crawford is intelligent, competent, and disciplined enough to stay out of serious difficulty for 12 rounds. Taking a clean chop from someone like Canelo is difficult to avoid, but Stitch thinks Crawford has the ring IQ to do so. Still, he quipped that he isn't a gambler and that you shouldn't take his word for it at the betting window, but coming from someone who has seen it all from ringside, his view offers another element to a battle that has the entire fight world buzzing. Legendary boxing analyst Jim Lampley rounded out the story with a forceful viewpoint based on history, experience, and long-held beliefs. Lampley has called many of Crawford's biggest moments and watched his development personally, so when he comments about Bud's ambition, it has genuine weight.
In a prize fight, the problem is that Canelo's bigger, and he's significantly bigger. And in addition to being larger, Canelo's greatest capability, talent, my way of thinking in the ring is that you cannot hurt him. He has the best punch resistance in boxing. So the notion of the smaller, more lithe Terence Crawford going in and scoring a rampaging knockout over Canelo Alvarez, I just don't see it. I think he has to focus on trying to win the fight over the long course of the fight, create action and punishment over 12 rounds and look to win a decision. Will probably throw more punches than Canelo.
Lampley said that the bout starts with a significant weight disparity of roughly 21 pounds, which cannot be overlooked. While Crawford offers speed, talent, and heart, Canelo brings natural size and strength gained over time in higher weight classes. Lampley called Canelo, he's the obvious favorite for that reason alone, believing that kind of physical edge may be too much to overcome. It's not a knock on Crawford, it's simply the hard math of boxing when two strong fighters from different divisions meet. Bob Arum, the legendary promoter, also added to the discussion. Arum, who has worked directly with Terence Crawford for the most of his career, knows exactly what Bud brings to the table, and while he did not dismiss the size difference, he did state unequivocally that if anyone can pull it off, it is Crawford.
It's a big difference in weight with Canelo and Terence, but if any fighter has a chance with Canelo, it's Terence. Terence is a super talent, and he has a real chance, despite the weight disparity, to beat Canelo. A real chance.
Arum sees the obvious. Canelo is the naturally larger man, which is a major factor, but he went on to describe Crawford as a super talent, someone with the uncommon ability to overcome even the most severe physical disadvantages. According to Arum, the weight disparity does not eliminate Crawford's chances. Rather, it elevates the stakes. In his opinion, this is more than simply a difficult battle. It is the type of job that might define Crawford's greatness, and despite the odds, Arum feels, it has a legitimate chance of startling the world. In a follow-up to his earlier remarks, Bob Arum delved further deeper into how he sees the fight unfolding, citing decades of experience leading some of the sport's top personalities. Arum broke it down with the honesty that only a seasoned marketer can provide, and this time he didn't hesitate to choose a side. Please share your views in the comments section below, and remember to subscribe to our channel to see more videos like this.